Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Coaching Call podcast. On this podcast, we'll cover various types of coaching by trainers in sports, martial arts, fitness, and business. We'll discuss each coach's methods to getting the most out of their respective athletes or clients and how they attempt to change the platform in which they coach. Join us on a fun adventure as we discuss unique coaching styles. Coaching is a universal part of how we get others to get something done. Join your host, Raphael, and his guests on this unique journey in coaching.
Hi, I'm Sifu Raphael, and this is the Coaching Call podcast. If you enjoy this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. This episode was made possible by listeners like you. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
Manuj, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Oh, exceptional. I'm so happy that you're joining me on Coaching Call. I know that we have so much to talk about. And you are a person who understands the value of even showing up. So I appreciate you for that. I definitely want to get into your childhood. Where'd you grow up? When you were a youngster, who influenced you the most? I'd love to hear that.
Well, I grew up in India, in a northern part of India called Punjab. It was quite an interesting childhood. People have had, a lot of experiences in their childhood. For me, it was a little bit of a struggle, both at school and at home. My home was a little bit of, how can I say, like, uh, not a product of a good marriage. There was a lot of fights and a lot of unrest in the home, which made me into like an introvert, made me wonder about my own self-worth and things like that. But also on the good side, I learned a lot about perseverance, about pushing through tough times and making things happen, serving other people. How do you create your own value in the world? I learned the good parts and the bad parts during that period. Who influenced me most at that time? Of course, my dad. Even though I have a love-hate relationship with my dad, but I learned a lot about life, about business from him. And also I learned a lot about what not to do as well, from him. uh, so and then I have a good circle of friends. They are back in India, not with me anymore, but um, I had a good support system in terms of my friends who were going through similar challenges, and so we were sort of, supporting each other in dealing with life and getting into trouble as teenagers we all do. So yeah, I mean that was the childhood like.
Very interesting that you said that your dad, even though you have a love-hate relationship, that he taught you so much, but including what not to do. I get that. Because guess what? My dad taught me the same stuff. What not to do.
Exactly.
So you talked about you had a bunch of friends with you in India who you were all going through the same struggles, if you will, but they're not with you anymore. Would you elaborate on that and why?
I mean, I moved to North America. Some friends also moved to North America, but in India, there's a different environment. Like, you have lots of time. So my good friends that I really miss, they are back home in India. Like, they didn't move out of the country. And in India, like, the environment is a little bit different, where you don't have to make an appointment to go see a friend. You just show up and they're like, okay, whatever I was doing, I'm gonna put it aside. I'm gonna put my focus on you. So that's like a different social contract people have in different countries, India included, where um, when like it's work is secondary, but social life is primary, right? So that environment, I miss that, because that's a true sort of connection. That's a true relationship, because work is never ending. You can keep working all your life, and there'll be still more to do. But then conversation with a friend, that you remember for the entire life.
It can make a difference in your life. Yeah, I grew up the same way. My gosh,
Mm,
I didn't grow up in India, but
mm,
I grew up the same way. Anytime we would just jump into each other's homes.
mhm,
And here's the cool thing: as a kid, the parents were always welcoming.
mhm.
If we showed up and it was dinner time, the parents were like, let's get him a dish, right?
Yeah.
Or let's get her a dish or bring them in. So it is changing times. Now, what do kids do? They have play dates. What is
Mhm.
that?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah. Exactly. So you have to make an appointment, and you have to like do all the logistics, and so yeah. I mean, it is changing, but those of who have experienced us, we have experienced like that freedom of just showing up somewhere and not thinking, oh, I'm encroaching on somebody's time. I mean, that's a lot of entitlement, but then it gives you so much assurance that you have people around you can just rely on, right?
Mhm. Yeah, it's I'm gonna go back to almost like I'm gonna use an animal in this aspect, like a dog, right? You show up to a house
Mm-hmm.
and the dog is happy to see you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we grew up knowing, that no matter whose home you went to,
Mm-hmm.
they stopped everything
Mm-hmm.
because you were the main person at that
Mm-hmm.
point, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. And thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I read about you, and we've had a few conversations, but you went from making $2 a day
Mm-hmm.
to helping people make $500 million.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, what a huge shift, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what were you doing for $2 a day? I'm just
So
curious.
I was working in a factory. So my dad owned that factory, and he raised me as a factory worker. And at that point in life, I hated the whole experience. I hated going to factory. I hated listening to my dad, and but he raised me like that. And so he used to pay me what everybody else gets, $2 a day. And I worked 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, and
Mm,
I had to do my school studies as well and all that. So it was really challenging life to learn business, to be at this job, to go through school, um, and do a lot of physical hard work as well, like physical labor as well.
mm,
And so it was quite a challenging time because it's hard to describe. I had so many expectations of me, other people's expectation, uh, because I have to put my mind into studies, physical labor, learning about the mechanics of the factory. It was just a overwhelming time for sure.
mm. But a lot of people would have stayed in India, would have kept doing that job. And I'm sure a lot of people you work
Mhm,
with are
mhm.
still at the
Yeah, yeah,
factory. But
yeah,
you broke
absolutely.
loose. You
Yeah, yeah,
broke loose. You
yeah,
said, I'm out of there.
yeah.
What inspired you to move on?
So what happened was, I'm always, my mind is a little bit crazy in the sense that when I'm put in a pressure, a situation with a lot of pressure, it starts to look for outlets,
Mm,
and I start to look for clues in the environment. So one of the clues that came to me was I was going through some business magazines during one lunch hour at the factory, and I was reading these stories of these tycoons who had made their millions, big empires, millions and billions of dollars. And I was like, these people came from nothing and they were able to change their life. So there's got to be like some sort of a avenue for me to do the same thing. And then I started searching for what can I do to achieve something like that. And then I found my passion for computers and programming, and I knew that this is the wave of the future, and if I get good at it, then I can really change my life. So, and it was not just to change my life. I really genuinely enjoyed working with computers and programming. Like it was so much fun. Just type a program, and then the computer is not going to talk back. It's going to exactly follow the instructions, and then I can just copy that onto like 10,000 other people's computer, and then it'll solve their problem. That was amazing.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
I have a good friend of mine here, Franco. He said he had the same life like you and I. So,
Yeah. We all have stories very similar, very very similar stories, right?
mhm, mhm. So you were sitting in lunchtime, you pick up a magazine
Hmm.
and you read something,
Yeah.
and that was a trigger, right?
Yeah.
That was a trigger
Exactly.
to say, wait a minute, if they can do it,
Yeah.
I can do it,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And a lot of people, they go through life being envious of other people.
Hmm.
They're like, well, I want what they have. I want what they have. But they never take the action.
Hmm.
They don't take the steps, the necessary, sometimes struggle
Hmm. Hmm.
to find and exactly live the life they want, because they do the blame game where,
Hmm.
you know, this is my circumstance. I can't get out of it. And that person is lucky, right? So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
didn't do
yeah.
that.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, to be honest, there's a lot of that as well because when you start on the path, the results are you grind away day after day after day. There are no results showing up. Then you wonder like what, like am I doing the right thing? Am I
Mm,
going in the right direction? And then you feel those emotions of jealousy and anxiety and all that. So I won't deny that. But after you reach the destination, then you look back and you say, oh, okay, now every step makes sense to me,
right.
why it had to happen that way, right?
Beautiful. So for anybody who's an entrepreneur, for anybody who even has had a struggle, life is getting easier,
Mhm.
isn't it?
Yeah. Life is getting easier. Well, I mean, the thing is that every life is kind of like a never ending loop on itself. So the problems of yesterday, humanity has found solutions to that, but in creating those solutions we create more problems, and that's the circle of life, right? So yes, it gets easier in many ways, and it gets more difficult in other ways, and that's just evolution taking
Mm.
place.
Yeah. You did say something earlier, and I'm thinking, you said, that's why I enjoy computers, because you put something in and it doesn't talk back.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's not true nowadays, right? Now
yeah.
we're going to start talking about AI, and AI
Yeah,
does talk back.
yeah, yeah.
So, and I know that you, besides having 4 patents in AI and all these different things, now we want the computers to talk back, right?
Yeah, exactly. When I say talk back, it's about argue, because
Mm,
computers AI does talk back, but it is not arguing with you. It is enhancing. It's having a conversation with you, which is very different. So again, going back to my childhood, where you grew up in a broken home, kind of like people yelling and screaming and all that. That's not a conversation, right? So that's what I mean. Like when you talk to a machine, it doesn't argue and says, oh, like my statement is not gonna hurt the machine in some way which will create a reaction towards me, because
mm,
that's what generally human interaction looks like. I say something which hurts you, and you try to hurt back me. Like it's a convoluted way of communication, right?
yeah.
And that's what I lived with for the first 40 years of my life. I didn't know anything better. Like there's a
Mm.
better way to communicate with people. So when I talk to machines, it gives me like a shelter from the outside world that's so like confusing.
So you also talked about becoming an introvert,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Because of what was going on at
Yeah,
home,
yeah.
because of your relationship with your dad, because
Hmm.
of everything that happened in your life. So a lot of people draw away. They'll go into
mhm,
video games nowadays, kids, right? They go into video games, but they never go into the development of something, right?
mhm, mhm,
You chose that because I'm sure some friends of yours said, "Hey, guess what? There's Xbox, there's all these different games. We can go into that world to get away
mhm, mhm,
from what's happening." One of my sons did that for a couple of years, and you can even talk to him, you know,
mhm,
because and unfortunately he didn't live with me because if that was the case, that would never have happened. But
mhm,
the whole thing is people get drawn to computers differently.
mhm, mhm,
A lot of people see it as a valuable tool, something to use for entertainment.
mhm, mhm,
Then other people see it as a tool of how can I be creative?
mhm, mhm.
So you decided creative.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing a little bit of games as well, but I honestly speaking, I've never been good at games. So so I try to. I think what happens is at that age, the biggest force that is driving you is how to fit in with your friends, right?
Mm.
What is the what is the one skill you can bring to the table that your friends will say, "Oh man, like you are part of our group now," like so
Right.
it's like you try all that, like, so I tried sports, I tried video games, I tried a lot of these things. And what I found was like my mind was like mostly more productive and more creative, as you said, in terms of building. Like, I was always wondering, okay, how do they make these games, like what is behind the scenes. So I was always curious to do that. And then that led me to like actually like creating some small little games as well. And I was like, oh, okay, this is how computers work. Like, it's actually just code logic in the background, which makes it amusing for people to play with. So that was like a fun exercise for me. And then it turned out that's a valuable skill the world values. So it worked out in that way.
My friend Franco says communicating with AI may teach us to be less emotional or attached in human conversation. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think so, actually. It actually is going to help us become more emotionally connected. And the reason is because, a connection is basically directly related to our skill to communicate better.
Mm,
And in the modern industrial education system, it started maybe 100 150 years ago. Communication skills have not been taught to uh, to humans anymore. That was not it was different earlier. In If we go back in history, we
mhm,
used to teach communication as part of the curriculum. We used to teach art, appreciation of art, and
mhm,
like morals, and these type of things were part of the education system, right? But now with the industrial age, we needed engineers, mathematicians. We needed like people who don't think anything else but go deep into one topic. And so with AI, you can become better communicators, which leads to a better emotional connection with each other.
mm. Beautifully said. Well, you made me think of cave drawings, right? Because
Yeah, yeah,
that was communication, and they started even forget there was writings
yeah,
on
yeah.
cave drawings, right?
Mm,
So it wasn't just pictures. I mean, pictures in the beginning, but later on,
mm,
they when they understood there's a language, they started
mm,
writing
mm, mm,
stories. I mean, some of it we still haven't been able to interpret yet, but
mm,
maybe AI can
mm.
figure that out, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
So when we think about a lot of people, they think the movie Terminator, right?
Mm,
Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he was brilliant when they gave him the first script that came. They wanted him to be human, and he goes,
mm,
"No."
mm,
He
mm,
saw in his
mm,
mind. He goes, "I want to be the machine."
Mhm.
because then I can come back and come back and come back and come back.
Mhm.
And he did. And when we think about reality, right, bases that like a movie, a lot
Mhm.
of people think that machine learning is going to be detrimental to our society. But in
Mhm.
reality, it's not. It's a tool. And
Mhm.
you and I
Mhm.
have had this conversation. It's
Mhm.
a tool. And it's right now, you said it to me, it's at the infancy stage, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, see, every technology, something as disruptive as AI, is going to cause some concern, fear, confusion in people. But it's no different than going back to 1990s when the internet was just in its infancy.
Mm.
If those of us who are old enough to remember, if I went to somebody in 1990s and said, hey, how do you want an email address, will you like a website, they'll be like, what's a website? I don't think I need a website. I don't need an email address. I have my phone. Like cell phones used to be like big as a brick.
Right.
So it's a but now we cannot imagine life without internet. We cannot imagine life without websites, email addresses, things like that, right? So we are at that stage with AI, and uh, this time around it's going to be 100 times or 1,000 times more transformative. We don't even know how the world is going to change using AI, but here we are. And talking about Terminator,
Right.
lot of people worry that AI is going to become self-aware, and it's going to think that, okay, it's going to take over humanity. So I tell them, I've talked to thousands of people every year. Maybe 1% of the people are self-aware themselves, let alone thinking about AI becoming self-aware.
Mm.
So let's just try to focus on humans first, so that we become self-aware, and then we can worry about AI becoming self-aware.
Oh yeah. I was talking to somebody who has a big production company where they they do a lot of advertisements through Google,
Mm,
Facebook, and all that, and they use copywriters.
mm,
And somebody told him, "Well, are you going to fire all your copywriters because of
mm,
chat.openai?"
mm,
And he said, "Absolutely not. If anything, it's going to help my
mm,
copywriters
mm,
just be that much more." So now a lot of people are afraid that they're going to lose their job. But
mm,
if we have people like this young man who I was speaking to, who said, "No, AI is a tool. It's
mm,
gonna, if anything, it's gonna make my copywriters that much more because it'll
mm,
give them ideas, it'll give them
mm,
concepts, but I'm still gonna employ them
mm, mm.
because now they'll just have an extra tool. It'll make
Exactly.
them way better than they
Yeah.
are today."
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing as saying, as let's say the steam engine was invented, and we still need people to operate the steam engine, and the only difference is they will be able to produce 10 times or 100 times faster and better quality product than they used to. So it's not a it's not a wise decision to let go of people. I can anticipate some of that will happen, but I think business owners and job creators, they should think of it as just like what you said. Like, this is a productivity enhancer, and very soon, and there's a small window of opportunity where people who adopt this will become more productive, more competitive.
Mhm.
And in 5 years, that advantage is not going to be there, because if you're not using AI, you are either out of business, or or you are using it efficiently. So this small window is when you catch up, and then you become more productive and gain the market share. So right now is the time to embrace it.
So, Manoj, who would benefit from using AI? Could a small pop in shop like a pizzeria, a tire store? Because this morning I went to get my car inspected,
Mm,
So I go there, my mechanic pulls it in, plugs it in to the computer. So it's no more inspect here, inspect there. They plug it into the computer. Yes, they check the brakes, the brakes, but it's all computer now. Still, they still had to have a mechanic that went over, typed into the computer all these things. So can AI, let's be realistic, can AI replace that mechanic's job and let him do something else?
Yes, in say maybe a year, between 1 to 5 years, we will see these jobs getting replaced. Meaning, what kind of jobs are we talking about? The jobs to enter data, to do repetitive tasks, make small decisions which are done throughout the day, based on certain parameters. These things require less cognitive ability. These will be automated. But now, all that time that will be saved, uh, allows the human being to do much more productive, much more impactful work.
Mm,
One of that could be listening to the client more, talking to them and saying, tell me a little bit more about how your car is running, because we lose all that uh, time for connection, because we have so much more to do, right? So
mm,
a lot of the jobs will change the definition, like, their definition of a doctor may change. Meaning, a doctor is, we generally think of a doctor as a person who will diagnose and prescribe, right? So diagnosis now may become a realm of AI, but the doctor is the final decision maker, in terms of getting input from AI, and then saying, oh, okay, maybe this is how we should approach your treatment, or something along those lines. And
mm,
so a lot of these shifts are coming. But once again, everybody can make use of AI. So to your point, a mom and pop shop, and small businesses, everybody. I'll give you a quick example here. The father of AI, he said that AI is the new electricity. So it's like, if we can imagine our small business without electricity, then we can say, okay, AI is not applicable here.
mm. Yeah, right. So my friend Frank also says, can AI ever develop a self-awareness like humans have?
So
Is that even possible?
I have the same answer, right? Like, if you talk to 1,000 people, people who are self-aware know what self-awareness truly means. Most people are not self-aware, in the sense that they think that self-awareness means, what is my favorite color, what is my favorite ice cream flavor, what do I like to do in my free time. That's the extent of self-awareness they have. But when it comes to, why people struggle in their life, what is their purpose in life, what is their mission in life, where are they going, who are the humans helping them get there, what are the skills they bring to a lot of this is just not there in most people. So imagine, AI is basically an algorithm created by human beings. So if you put 99% of people who are not self aware creating these algorithms and feeding into AI, how do you think AI is going to become self aware?
Mm, right.
Right? Like, self awareness is not something you can dream of. You have to experience it first, and then possibly, I don't even think there is a way to, like, actually express it in feelings, let alone express it in computer code and say, okay, this is the algorithm for self awareness, right? it's
Mm,
it's kind of meaningless in some way.
mm. Wow, beautiful. When we think about all the advances that technology will go through because of AI, one of the things I've always thought about is, why is AI so prevalent today? Could we have had this technology 50 years ago? We had it. We just, nobody put it together.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
what inspired you? Because I know a lot of people who are into computers, but they're into programming, they're into creating websites, they're into different things, but they're not in the AI world like you are.
yeah, yeah.
What changed for you?
Well, I mean, so as you said, so AI has been around for decades, um, and it has been called by different names, data analytics or what have you. So the nomenclature has changed. So I'll answer it in multiple sort of steps. The
Sure.
first thing that happened around 2005 was uh, cloud computing was introduced. Cloud computing means that before 2005, if you had to do something big, you had to buy a whole bunch of computers, you had to rent a space, you had to put all these servers computers in and configure them and all that stuff. It's a huge investment you had to put up front. But now with cloud computing, you can just pay like $100 a month, and you can rent all, like, you know you can get like a similar compute power with $100 a month, but at least you can get started. So that enabled companies to utilize more computing power at a reasonable price without upfront costs, right? That's one
Mhm.
thing. Secondly, we started generating more and more data because mobile phones became prevalent around 2006 to 2007. So cloud computing came 2005, mobile computing came 2007, and then there was this enabled this these two these two technologies enabled scientists to come up with better algorithms. So they actually started making new algorithms which mimic the the thought process in our mind, how the neurons connect with each other in our mind. They started
Right.
putting that into the computers, and like, since computation power was growing exponentially, the amount of data that is needed, data is like an ingredient for the AI dish. Without data, um, you cannot have any AI. So the idea is to feed data into AI algorithms, teach it, and then AI becomes useful. So all of these things combined created a revolution of AI. Me personally, I always try to stay on the cutting edge. So I will, whenever I get involved in any project, I'm like, okay, what are the latest technologies? Let's use them, because it's
Mm,
like fun for engineers, right? Like, it's fun to use new technologies and say, oh, this is a new toy, let's play with it and see
right.
how much trouble we can get into with that. So these are the things that brought me here. But the idea is that technology is always moving, just like evolution is always moving. So if you want to dive into these things, opportunities are there. You just have to say, okay, this is where I want to be, right?
Yeah, yeah. I am putting up your website across the screen. So the question that I have for you, and maybe a lot of people, being that you're in the AI world and you know computing, you know how to write code, all these different things, who did your website? Did you, or did you have AI do it for you?
No, I use humans. I'm not a good designer visually. So I work with people. I realize that I only have maybe one or two skills that I'm good at. The rest, I'm not good at it at all. So I have to
Oh, okay.
find people who are going to fill in those gaps. Um, AI is not a I don't think AI is at a point where I can just say, okay, build my website and take it public. Of course, for small little, simple websites, it is capable of doing that. But if you want to, like, really showcase some skill that is difficult to explain, I think you still need humans. At least now, maybe in a couple of years, it's not going to be needed.
Right, right, right. So I want to share this video because I know you're going to come join us in New York. Take a look, everybody.
Heroes Rising Apex is the highly anticipated business event of the year. This gathering of industry leaders, entrepreneurs, authors, and visionaries promises to be a game-changing experience that will inspire, educate, and provide networking opportunities. Get ready to immerse yourself in a world of innovation, strategy, and collaboration as we embark on an unforgettable journey of learning, growth, and success. Join us in New York on July 14th through the 16th. Go to heroesrisingapex.com for tickets.
So I'm excited to have you join us in New York. And what can people expect when they come and meet you in person at this event? Because I know you're going to be one of our speakers. What technology do you think, even 3 months from now, what will we see, do you predict?
Well, see, the very first thing is that technology is always moving faster than we can catch up. Like even the experts in the field are not able to catch up. There are thousand tools, AI based tools being released every day.
Mm,
So you know, so the point, even in 3 months, will stay true is that most people will still be afraid of it, and that's the fear aspect of humans, which takes a long time to get rid of.
mm,
People will still be scared of it. They will still be believing the Terminator movie plot than somebody telling them firsthand that AI is here to help. Because human instinct is, we rely on our fears more than positive information. But what I want to do is, I want to challenge people to try and overcome that fear first,
mm,
and then say, okay, I understand there are some unknowns here, but it's time to embrace this and see what it means for my business, for my life, and take baby steps to start using the technology. Because if you start getting familiar with it, that's the only way to get rid of your fear. And so that is the first step. Once the fear is removed, the idea is to start thinking bigger. Okay, now I understand AI is going to help me. Where can I use it in my life, in my business? How can I make my business, produce 10x revenue in the next year, or maybe grow in size like 50 times in the next year? Because these numbers are very big, and it may sound insane, but that's the power it brings to small business owners or large businesses alike, to be able to multiply their business 10 times, 50 times, 100 times. And think of again, going back to the this in the history, uh, not so distant history, like when the internet started.
mm,
A lot of people ignored it. Even companies like Microsoft said, oh, this is irrelevant thing, it's not going to work. But then I think it was 1995 or 1997 or something like that, when Jeff Bezos started a website. And imagine how he grew his company to now it is worth trillions of dollars,
mm,
right?
mhm.
So 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 that is the power that people have in their hand right now.
So when we think about AI, and a lot of people say, well, I'm I'm not a big business. I'm a small mom and pop shop.
Mm,
I maybe I have a grocery store, or I have a candy store, or I have, something small,
mm,
or even a hairstyling, right? And or a hair salon, or a nail salon where people get their nails done.
mm, mm,
They're probably going to say, well, AI is not for me. It won't help me,
mm,
right?
mm. So let's break down first this misnomer that people have. Different businesses, like you mentioned, like hair salon, nail polish salon, pizza store. Business is all about people.
Mm,
That's Let's just break down business at a fundamental level. It's all about connecting with people and understanding their problems, not only outside your company but inside the company, understanding your employees and things like that. So once you understand that, now we can say, okay, where can I AI, where can AI help me in my small business connect with other human beings? Let's take an example of a nail beauty salon which does nails. So how much do you know about your customer base in that vicinity? Not
mm,
much. It's only because you interact with people who walk in through your door. That's maybe 100 people a day, 200 people a day, but I'm sure you live in a vicinity of millions of, maybe 100,000 people.
Mm,
Now you can talk to AI and say, okay, tell me what are the characteristics of the people who are not visiting my store today. What are their pain points? How can I communicate with them? And what can I offer them that will make them interested to get their nails done by
mm,
me? And you don't have the ability to do that today unless you take a lot of time and talk to all those 100,000 people in your vicinity. But with AI you can get it in 5 minutes, and now you have the power to multiply your business 10 times over by talking to those people who have not walked through your doors,
mm,
right? Because the next step, when you have this information, you can talk to AI and say, oh wow, okay, I understand these are the pain points. Please write me a marketing plan so that I can start marketing to them. Please write me a email that will resonate with this audience, or what have you. So now you can see, like, you can start to build upon these ideas and take advantage of it, right?
mm. I love the way you really clarified how easy it is to work with AI
Mhm.
for even somebody who goes, if I have a pizzeria or if I have a Chinese restaurant or if I have whatever nationality, because I am so grateful to live in a country where I can get all different kinds of food, right? From all
Mhm.
different
Yeah.
nationalities. I want Indian food, so every one of these restaurants can do exactly what you talked about, the nail salon. If how many people in my neighborhood like Chinese food?
Yeah.
So how can I market to them? That's beautifully said. And what's going to happen to the restaurants or the shops that don't do that? They're going to lose out. They're going to start to losing customers to those people who go, wait a minute, I'm not a computer store. I don't have anything to do with AI, so I'm not going to bother. And then they're going to lose out to the people who go, yes, I'm in the same business, but I'm going to use AI to find the
Mhm.
customers. So
Exactly.
beautifully said. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So when we think about what prompted you to dive deeper into AI, because you and I had a conversation that AI literally has been around forever, right?
Mhm.
It's just
Yeah,
we did not understand how to use it,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
what prompted you to step into the world of AI?
So, so I've been working with AI since 2005, 2007, in that period, and around 2010. So I've had like a lot of struggles, as I said, like, with my parents, with my spouse, in terms of my personal relationships. And so I had my firstborn child in 2010, and he and I could not develop a relationship earlier
Mm,
on, and that was very devastating for me. So it was almost like, I went into depression, and then like, I had suicidal thoughts. And then I was already in AI, but I was getting more involved as I was struggling with my personal stuff. I was getting more involved into other AI projects. But if in order to fix my problems, I went into meditation and
mm,
understood neuroscience, understood human psychology, spirituality, how we create our own reality. And so that brought me out of that suicidal thinking. But then, as I was understanding AI and the human mind, it struck me that our mind is actually just a continuum of AI. AI is just a continuum of our mind, and they interact with each other in mysterious ways. Like, you know, AI, it controls the information that we consume, and that's what creates our worldview, and then that's how we show up in the world. So it's a cycle that happens. So it told me that, a lot of people, for example, I understood that people are not self-aware. People need to understand how much potential they have. So when I talked to people about meditation, they said, "Oh, I don't have time for meditation." And then it struck me that even if people don't have time for meditation, we can use AI to actually create a meditative effect, like almost help them realize their own potential, almost like use AI as a coaching tool. So that's when I realized that then things got really more excited for me, because now technology has a human element, and it's a very, very profound human element to that. So yeah, that was the thought that brought more and more passion for AI for me.
Mm. You did talk about suicidal tendencies, and I'm so glad that you that didn't happen for you,
Mm,
and that you found something that a lot of people dismiss:
mm,
meditation. I
mm,
meditate every day, so and I've been meditating my whole life, I believe.
mm,
But when we think about going deeper into ourselves, right? I think that, and when you realize that AI is something that can help us be better,
mm,
to
mm,
communicate better. Because when even the way we communicate to AI will make us a better communicator, right?
mhm, mhm, mhm. Yeah.
So every day a new AI platform is being born.
Mhm.
And is that in relation to so many people jumping on the bandwagon, or is it AI creating more platforms?
It's actually both. It's actually both. Now AI is able to create new platforms. Not only that, but more so, we are, the shortcoming that humans have is, even though we are very imaginative, we are
Mm,
very creative. Each individual only has a very small, uh, like a boundary of imagination.
right.
So so what is happening right now is, like, people who are creative and entrepreneurial, they can actually go to AI and say, okay, give me 100 ideas for new startups, right?
Mm,
And now AI is able to produce that in a huge quantity. So
mm,
earlier people used to say, oh, I want to do something, but I'm looking for that idea, which will change the world. Like, what could be that idea? And now, humans are getting a huge boatloads of ideas and help in actually executing those ideas. So that is the end effect you're seeing, where, so many new tools are coming up. But the unfortunate thing is, they are looking at the current problems or the past problems. AI is so much more transformative. You need to think 5 year, 10 year down the road, and some solutions are actually, like, future thinking, but 90% of them, 95% of them are like, just focused on very small little problems and solving the same problems in the same way and competing with each other.
mm. So we got to think ahead, right?
Yeah, yeah. Mm,
So it's very interesting because I always say to somebody, I pose this question: what is this cemetery full of?
mm.
The common answer: dead
That,
people.
mm,
My answer: dead dreams, right?
yeah, yeah.
Because if we dream bigger, if we can't dream what's going to happen, you can dream about what you're going to eat for dinner,
Mm,
but that's a small dream.
mm,
What's my life going to look like 30 years from now?
mm,
And then what actions do I need to take for that life to happen, right? So you
mm,
talked about cycles before, and it is a cycle that we as humans have to go through, right?
mm, mm,
Because it's the evolution of even our own thinking,
mm.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I guess that's what AI is doing, right? Helping us to even think better, right?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, 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 yeah.
So you have kids, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
How many kids do you have?
I have two sons,
Oh,
10
nice.
and 10 and 13. Yeah,
10 and 13.
yeah.
So they're probably using AI now more than you did when you were 10 or 13, right? Or me,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. No doubt in my mind.
right? Right. So when we think about the companies that are using AI the most, Google is definitely using AI.
Mhm.
And a lot of people say that Google has to be afraid because AI is going to take over and it's going to make Google obsolete. But what people probably don't realize is that Google is probably one of the forefront runners of AI, right?
See, so whenever a disruption like this happens, the people who companies who are on the pedestal, they always get um, eventually they get replaced by somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go 50 years back, the top 500 companies in US, most of them they don't even exist anymore.
Right.
And the reason is because the economy was different, the purchasing habits was different, everything is different now. Google, everything about Google is AI. I mean, the search engine that they came up with in 2004, it was all AI. Again, it
Mm.
was called maybe different things or whatever. At the end of the day, it's all consuming data and algorithms figuring out what are the patterns to create that search. Now what has happened is I'll give you a quick simple example to understand where Google used to be and what is happening. So Google is a way for, think of it as a, think of internet as a big library, and it is full of books. And you can go to Google and say, okay, I'm looking for a book on taxation, or I'm looking for a book on creating art or something along those lines. And Google is going to say, okay, I know exactly where that book is. I'm going to give you the best book here. Here it is. Click on this link, and off you go. Right. So you will need to read that book, figure out what it means for you, do all the research. With AI, with OpenAI, you can say, okay, I don't have time to read the book. I want you to go read the book, understand it, and give me the synopsis of it. And by the way, when you give me the synopsis, write a poem about it in the way that Beatles. It should sound like Beatles wrote that song, and AI will be able to do that. So that is the difference where Google was positioned and where AI from ChatGPT is positioning it, right?
Mm.
Now, that is not to say that Google cannot cross over that threshold, but they do have a little bit of a, you know, they do have a little bit of a disadvantage because, as we all know, as human beings and as organizations, if we have massive success, we get complacent. We it is difficult to get out of that mindset.
Right.
So if you become a librarian for 20 years, it is difficult to become another librarian who can also become a scholar and read all the books and say. So it is going to be interesting how things work out. But I say, I just know that in this universe nothing is stagnant. Everything is moving, everything is changing. So Google may be number one today, may not be number one to do tomorrow, who knows. But the end game is that all this competition is going to give rise to more and more powerful AI. That's the
Mm.
bottom line, right?
Mm. Mm. So when we think about AI, Elon Musk uses it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So cars that drive themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other day, I saw a conversation between, I think it was Elon Musk and Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is dead,
Mm-hmm.
but it was an AI generated chat, and the imaging and everything. It was a
Yeah, yeah,
video,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
all
yeah.
generated by
Mm-hmm.
AI.
Mm-hmm.
So when we think about, can movies now be made because way better? Can we have a more of an entertainment value
Mm-hmm.
because of AI? Because when we think CGI, right, that's how they're making movies. But
Mm-hmm.
now is CGI getting an upgrade?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly, exactly, exactly. Yeah, actually, funny enough, over the weekend I had another summit, online summit with the Hollywood industry, and they have similar concerns. What is going to happen? But what I told them is exactly this: that AI is just another medium. So you can think of, um, when animated movies came out, it became a different genre of movies, right? Animated movies versus real characters. And then some movies actually had animated characters and real characters interacting with them in the same movie. So you can think of it like, there's going to be genre of AI generated movies,
Mm,
or partially AI generated movie, or something along those lines. But it's just another medium to express yourself, express your creativity, right? So definitely I can see, maybe in a year, full movies, TV series will be done by AI.
mm, mm. It's going to be interesting times, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So when we think about, and you talked about it earlier, and there's a show that I watch with my girlfriend, and it's called Chicago MD.
Hmm.
And they have in that show, they have a special room, if anybody's seen the show, where they call it like something 2.0. And it's a
Hmm.
special room, and it's all computer generated, and it
Hmm.
assists the doctor in giving him
Hmm.
full time exact things that normally you would have to take the patient out, do an x-ray or an MRI, but it does it. The imaging is dead on, right on. The whole time it's being imaged, seeing the whole thing. It does a full body scan, it does everything. It even
Hmm.
tells the doctor, oops, you're going too far, you're doing this, you're doing that. But like you said earlier, it's up to the doctor to actually do the final
Hmm.
surgery. Do you believe that eventually even complicated surgeries will be done by a machine?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's already being done right now. Like, um, there are solutions right now where, a doctor may be sitting, the surgeon may be sitting like thousands of miles away, and they can actually control the a remote robot to
Right.
actually perform the surgery. So it's not too far in the future that a robot may actually perform the surgery on its own.
Mm,
Now, it will take time for us to get used to that idea as human beings, to say, okay, I understand that this is a robot doing surgery. So the patient will need to be comfortable with that, and that takes time to
mhm,
change human perception like that. But definitely that's on the way for sure.
yeah. Well, I've had three knee surgeries, but I only
Mm,
have two knees, right? Three knee surgeries, and I
mm,
only have
mm,
two knees. Go figure that
mm,
one. So
mm,
if I need another knee surgery, on one of my knees, the doctor already said to me, if you need another knee surgery, you may need knee replacement.
mm,
Now, technology has really advanced. Maybe I won't need a knee replacement, and maybe it won't be the doctor performing the surgery if I need it.
mm,
I do
mm,
everything in my power now to make sure my legs are strong and I don't
mm.
need it. But so the concern would be, let's say we're at the stage and I do need that surgery. My only concern would be if it's going to be a robot doing that surgery. I'm going to, right now, I tell you the truth, I'd be okay with it.
Mm.
My only concern is what happens if the power goes out?
So, again, we have to, think about all of these things as mission critical stuff.
Mhm.
So when we build mission critical stuff, we have to have backup of backup of backup, right?
Mm,
In every sense of the word. Like, when, for example, um, I don't know how what is the equivalent of that, but let's say getting a surgery on my knee will be like, almost like waging war on a nation, right? You have to have strategy in place, you have to have tactics in place, you have to think of the risks, you have to say, what happens if everything goes south. And only then only then anybody who is the inventor of the robot, the person responsible for approving that, the regulators,
Mhm.
the hospitals, once they have figured out, okay, nothing, there is very very small chance of something going wrong. If the power goes out, there's going to be a backup generator. If the generator fails, there's going to be another fallback mechanism.
Right.
Only then we will do it. Otherwise it makes no sense whatsoever to to do something like that.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, these things will need to be in place. Only then we can say, okay, yeah, now we are ready for this.
Mm. Beautiful. Yeah, I like the backup and backup and backup and backup.
Mm.
So let me ask you, you do have 4 patents out. Would you mind sharing with us what they are?
Sure. So the one patent is uh, about personalized learning. So when students enroll into a course in any university or school, if there are 30 students in a classroom, every student gets the same curriculum. But in most cases, few students may know more about that topic, and some students may know less about the topic. So in this system, what happened was, if it detects it knows more, it can actually help you skip some chapters
Mm.
and learn faster. If it detects that, oh, if you need more help, it'll give you more material to read, so that you can get up to par with the rest of the students. So that's personalized learning. The second one was a group of patents where we help students, or not students, patients, get rid of their joint pains. So a lot of people have flat feet or high arches or something along those lines, and um, when they have to stand on their feet all day long for their jobs, it creates pressure on and creates joint pains. So what we did was, we created AI algorithms which could take pictures of their feet from a mobile phone, and
Mm.
then that creates a 3D point cloud, a 3D point model for their feet within 2 millimeters of accuracy of their actual feet. And
Wow.
then that 3D model gets 3D printed, and then it 3D printed orthotic is printed by the 3D printer, and that 3D printed orthotic is custom fitted to your foot, and it goes into your shoe, and then provides the support at the right place, and then helps with the joint pains. So that was another one. And then
Wait a minute, I
uh,
like that one.
yeah, yeah.
That could probably help athletes too, right?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. So we had studies done where athletes actually got good performance gains out of that.
Mm. Huge,
Yeah, yeah.
huge.
So that was another one. Like there are two patents related to that, and then there's another one related to like collecting bio feedback about feet using sensors. So
Mm.
we can put some sensors in your shoe, and then capture some data about your how the way you walk, how the way your ankle
Your
hits the
stride, all
ground, or
that.
blood. Yeah, exactly. All of those things to help again with the joint pains, or the way you walk, or your performance, things like that.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So that's 2. Keep going. I'm
Yeah.
loving this.
No, these are group of patents, like
Oh,
these
okay.
are
Gotcha,
invent.
gotcha.
And there was another one where we help students not drop out of the university courses, because 30% of the students drop out right now in the first 2 years of their
Mm.
university course. So we created algorithms to find the right match between the student and the courses, and so that they can enjoy the course, they have the ability to finish the course. And so that product was very very impactful. Like a lot of people actually took 20% more courses than required to finish their degree program. And
Mm.
so that project actually got mentioned from President Obama and Bill Gates.
Wow. Well, congratulations. You know, I think that's huge because how many people go to college? And I ask kids all the time, what are you going to college for? I don't know.
Mm,
What do you mean you don't know? You're going there. You're going to spend not only maybe your parents' money or you're going to get a student loan, you're going to go to college and then you're just going because you're going? It's
mm,
like you get on a train. Where's this train going? I don't know. I'm just going to get on it. Where's this plane going? I don't know. I'm just going to get on it. right? So then
Yeah.
I've known people who've gone into accounting. They graduated with an accounting degree, never became an accountant. I know
Mm,
people who are lawyers, or I'm sorry, they went to law school,
mm,
even passed the bar,
mm,
and never became a lawyer.
mm,
So I think that your program is huge because if it allows people to recognize where they may have strengths they didn't even recognize, that's huge.
mm, mm.
That is
Yeah.
huge, man.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love it.
Mm.
I love it. What would you say to somebody new, somebody, a 16, 17-year-old kid who wants to get into the world of AI, or somebody who's even in their 30s or 40s or 50s and say, you know what? Because I think now, because of technology, I think people are saying 60s are the new 30s, right? So, what happens with somebody, even in their 60s, they go, I want to get into this. I want to get into the world of AI. What advice would you give them, and how can they even start?
Well, the first thing is, as I said, like it's all about taking baby steps, right? So just sign up for ChatGPT, start to interact with it as if you're interacting with a super intelligent friend.
Mm,
Let's say you meet a person who has passed the bar exam, who has a medical degree, who has MBA, who knows a lot about history, who knows a lot about religion, like super intelligent, right? And that person just came to your doorstep and said, "Ask me anything." So you
mm,
just try to interact with that person, not only about other people's lives but your own life. Try to understand your own life through that lens, and you
mm,
will be surprised at how much of a mirror AI can become for you. You can
wow.
start to say, "Oh, I'm feeling this way today. What are your thoughts about that? Where do you think that's coming from?" And when you start to that's the sort of the talk about meditative effects and AI. Once you start to understand that power, because it will help you find meaning in your own emotions, then your light bulbs will go off in your own mind. Or like, wow, if it knows so much about it, can help me get in touch with myself so much. What else can it do, and what it can do for my business? How can I understand other people? So you
Mm,
start asking these questions and you start expanding your mind, without going out there and doing all this research, uh, and getting better at connecting with people. So that's, once you start to get those baby steps done, it becomes like a very self-perpetuating, like a snowball effect.
wow, great advice. And anybody who is interested, definitely go sign up for chat. What is it? Chat
At GPT. Yes.
GPT.
Yeah.
And can anybody do it?
Yeah, it's free. Yeah, it's free.
Mm. Why is it free?
Well, so OpenAI as a company started with like non-profit motives in mind. So they actually, didn't have any profit motive in mind. In fact, the CEO of ChatGPT, in an interview, he said, "We promise no returns to investors, and we said that if we are successful, then maybe AI will help us figure out how to monetize it." um so that's the like it's been like I think it even caught them by surprise. I don't think they expected this kind of technology to be created. Even if they expected that technology to be created, they didn't expect that it will have so much adoption so quickly.
Mm,
um so so right now they are not making money, but I think they did pretty well, because uh Microsoft invested $10 billion in them at a valuation of $30 billion. So I
mm.
don't think they're worried about making money at this point.
No.
I think they're mostly worried about world domination at this point right now.
Mm, mm. And you're part of that, aren't you?
Well, in a small way, not at. I mean, in a way, yes, because um, again, I'll use the same example of the internet. So internet came along, it was free, free to
Hmm.
for anybody to use it. But people who found the solutions using the internet, they became even more, more successful
Mm.
in in uh, in using the internet and solving other people's problems. Like Elon Musk, for example. SpaceX is a technology company. It's like a AI company, because without that AI, those rockets are not going to
That's right.
land back on the land, as a reusable rocket.
Mm.
Tesla is a data company. It's an AI company. Without that, you couldn't figure out a way to give enough power to electric car. And all of those things were a result of AI, a result of technology.
Mm. Mm. Nice. So AI is here to stay, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And so are you. I love how you went from making $2 a day to helping so many people live a better life.
Mm.
And listen, just you have, since the time you and I met, you have inspired me for sure, and I can't wait to meet you in person. I know we're going to do that in New York. But when we think about the change that we can make in the world, it starts with us, right? And that's what you
Mm,
did, right?
mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was the only way you were able to even create these patents.
Yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, at the time, you don't realize what you can do with your skills. My desire was just to get more innovation out there in the world, and my desire to, like, create innovation that actually helps people improve their lives. Those were some criteria that I had, but where it led to, yeah, I mean, this was the outcome. But my expectations and ambitions were much smaller and simpler.
Mm. One last question. Are you working on new patents?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah, all the time,
Okay.
all the time.
All the time. I love it.
One thing I will say is, like, I'm working on new inventions. Whether they will be patented is another story. People who understand patents, it's like, to get something patented is a whole process, a lot of
Mhm.
expense. In the end, in my personal opinion, it's not that much of a worth to patent anything these days.
Right.
But
Right.
but I'm always working on new inventions all the time.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Manuj, I got to tell you, man, this was so much fun, so informative, and you have such great energy. And I only wish that you'll live another 200 years with us.
Oh my goodness. Uh,
AI is going to get us there, isn't it?
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's actually not too far off. Like longevity, there are longevity solutions right now which claim that it can help you live 150 years today.
I'm going for it. I'm going
Yeah,
for it. That's why I
yeah.
eat healthy. I work out every day. Thank you, my friend. This
Thank you
was
so much.
so
Thank you.
much fun.
Thank you. Thank
You
you so much.
are incredible. Make sure you have an exceptional day. Everybody, make sure you follow my good friend, Manuj, and have an exceptional day. All right, everybody. Take
Thanks.
care.
Thanks.